You're listening to the B&H Photography Podcast. For over 40 years, B&H has been the professional source for photography, video, audio, and more. For your favorite gear, news, and reviews, visit us at bnh.com or download the B&H app to your iPhone or Android device. Now here's your host, Alan Weitz.
Greetings and welcome to the B&H Photography Podcast. Today we bring you our 2021 Camera of the Year show. Now, believe it or not, this is our 7th Camera of the Year episode, and to that milestone, we owe a huge thanks along with a COVID-safe hug to all of our listeners. Whether you are new to the show or whether you have been with us over the long haul, simply put, there's no show without you, and on behalf of John and Jason, we thank you for joining us each and every week. As for today's show, to help us get a better handle on the many features of the new cameras we're going to be talking about, and to get a sense on how the consumers, real folks out there, are reacting to and maybe not reacting to the new cameras, we welcome to the program Llinelva De Castro. Llinelva is a pro photo expert at the B&H SuperStore, as well as a portrait and wedding photographer. Welcome to the show, Llinelva. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Alan and John.
It's great having you here. Now, like a lot of photographers, Llinelva's father was in the business, and at age 17, she shot her first weddings using Hasselblad and the Mia medium format cameras. This girl has a track record here. Now, after graduating college, she opened up her own photo studio in Corona, Queens, and we thank you so much for joining us. Now, before we start yapping about cameras, maybe we can start by having you tell us a little bit about your studio. Now, I know that during the pandemic, it took a toll on you, on many businesses, which in the case of your family business, you opened your doors back in 1973. Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, it was very sad, very dramatic for the whole family because everybody was working at the studio, me, my dad, my siblings as well. Um, the studio has been open since 1973, like you said, from the original owner. And the name of the studio was Thomas Photo Studio. Then we changed it to the Castro Productions. We purchased the studio back in 2002 when I graduated from college for fine arts and photography. And, just we've been through so much with our studio trying to keep it alive when the digital era came up. Most of the studios, closed down during that time. And we were able to succeed. We were providing services to other photographers. At that point, we started having like printers and stuff and working for other photographers on the enlargements. We used to do a lot of albums binding, frames. So it was like a full service studio for professional photographers,
Right.
mainly weddings, but I specialize also on baby photography, maternity, among other things. So it was sad to see it go, to close it down. But at that point, we didn't have a choice. Corona was one of the most affected area, so we didn't have a choice there. Yeah.
Wow. So any chance of it ever starting up again, or is it just you just all let go of it and you're all moving on at this point?
Yeah, so the building belongs to the original owner of the studio. He didn't want to sell it to anybody else. He was like, "No, you don't have to pay me rent for a couple of months. Just keep the studio." And it came to the point that we could no longer keep doing that to him. So
Yeah.
we decided
Yeah.
to close it down. We may reopen another, the Castro Productions, but in Long Island. I'd rather have something closer to home.
Well, maybe speak to upper management. Maybe they'll move the business out to Long Island, make your life a little bit easier. They got to
Yes.
bend a little bit for us once in a while, right?
Well, I wish we can move to Florida. That way, we can all do our job, in a nice weather all the time.
I hear you. Again, sorry for that loss. And again, yours is unfortunately one of many. I mean, we've heard a lot of stories about that over the past 2 years. It's been rough for a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and it's not really over yet. So we should all just keep moving on here. Now, before we start with this year's list, let's take a quick trip down the time machine to see what cameras we considered the best of the year since we started this podcast. Back in 2015, we profiled the Leica SL, the original SL camera, Sony's A7R2, and the Ryko Theta. I don't know about you guys, but that camera changed the way I approach photography. Anybody else? It's a
Which
radical
one?
camera. Does anybody remember that camera, the Ricoh
The
Theta?
Theta?
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Theta.
yes. It was one of the most fun camera to, walk around with.
That was that little flat thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, right.
it
Okay,
gives
all
you
right.
360 degrees. Uh-huh.
Gotcha. That's it. Okay. We also discussed all of the 10 or so Canon PowerShot cameras that were released that year. Remember when we used to have, it was like every manufacturer had 50 different point and shoots and you couldn't tell one from the other. In 2016, the Nikon D500, Fujifilm's medium format GFX 50S, great camera. That was a real that changed things a lot. And Canon's EOS 5D Mark IV, another swell camera, and Pentax's first full-frame DSLR, the K1, which I remember I did a review on, and it was a lovely camera, great machine to use. Also noted from this year, the many cell phones with cameras that were announced. Raise your hand if you remember the Lenovo Moto Z or the Asus Zenfone 3. They're in your drawer somewhere laying around there. In 2017, the Nikon D850, which a lot of people still love, Sony's Alpha A9, and the Olympus Tough TG5, which I still consider like one of the gold standards of rugged point and shoot cameras. In 2018, the GoPro Hero 7, Fujifilm's X-T3, and Canon and Nikon's very first full-frame mirrorless cameras, the EOS R and the Z6, respectively. The following year, 2019, we had the Nikon D6 DSLR and the Sigma FP and the Panasonic Lumix S1, which is a big jump for them, their first L-mount camera. And then 2020, last year, despite all the problems of the year, we got the Canon EOS R5, an amazing camera, and the Zeiss ZX1. Anybody out there shoot one? Anybody know anybody who uses one? And the
I
Hasselblad, do you?
Yes, I tried for about a week now from a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I do love the quality is amazing. It resembles some of the quality that Leica digital mirrorless camera has. Now I feel like it's more of a collectible camera for the price range that it goes for, and the quality that you get from it. It's there's no way of going wrong with size.
Well, Zeiss lenses, you have to sell me. I own a bunch of them, and I literally say a bunch of them. I've been buying them. I mostly use them whenever I can in several different mounts, and I use them, and they are beautiful lenses. You get a lot of bang for your buck out of those. But I was just a little bit, the idea of putting so much of what's really just, all these cameras are computerized. But in this case, it really is a computer that's in it. You're doing everything in the camera.
Correct.
And I'm just a little bit leery about having that much technology that gets real old real fast in a camera that's not inexpensive. So that's kind of like what holds me back about it. When you get to cameras in that price range, you really have to measure things a little bit more, and it's just one more little thing that can get goofy on you. And I'm sure it's an amazing camera to work with. I'm sure the image quality is phenomenal. So,
Yes.
but again, that's just my take on it. And also the Hasselblad 907X, the 50C, which I think is just a stunning camera as a design and as a machine as well. So that's where we've been. Okay, let's get started. In general, 2021 has been split in three big camera announcements. Sony early in the year bought everybody's lunch. Canon had everybody's lunch in the middle of the year, and then Nikon just swept up in the last third of this year. And they all did an amazing a job. So in January of this year, we started off with the Sony A1 on that. Anybody want to throw their thoughts on that camera?
I have this camera on the counter. We've been using it consistently. I have a couple of Sony A7 series. They did a really great job with the A1 in terms of the details, the dynamic range that you get on that camera when you're doing enlargements. It's, I'll say that it's the best camera they have come up with on the full frame mirrorless system.
It's a 50 megapixel stacked BSI CMOS sensor, has in-body image stabilization. One thing that gets noted is it's blackout-free shooting, and it looks like a very high-resolution EVF, burst rates up to 30 frames per second, and of course, all of Sony's latest technology, including their autofocus system. And Yeah, I mean, from what we understood, and I'd like to hear what Llinelva thinks on it. It was supposed to be the premier camera coming out from Sony, and I guess that is the case. Are consumers responding to it, as far as you can tell?
Yes, a lot. Now, this is where with the Sony A1, Sony changed the menu dramatically. So this is a camera that will only recommend like for pro photographers who are who likes to customize their cameras, because the menu on this camera is amazing. You can pretty much set up the camera to work the way you want it. The price range, though, it threw me off, because it's a really big jump from the
Hmm.
A7R4 to the Sony A1. Quality wise, you do get really great. I mean, it cannot get better than that, but it does. Um, so it's like they're really matching this camera up to a price level of a medium format camera, and that I don't quite follow with Sony on that.
Hmm.
Do you think they're coming out with too many camera models? It seems to me that they're starting to expand on the Alpha series. Do you think there's too many cameras at this point, or it's just my thought on that?
They do. Yes, they do.
Oh,
It's
okay,
confusing for people, when you recommend a Sony camera and they start seeing so many different models, they're like, which one is for me? And
okay.
they're all professional, they're all great. They offered like even the A7S series, which is more for video. The image quality that you get out of that camera, if you're not doing like huge enlargements, it's amazing.
Oh, it's lush. Yeah,
Correct.
I owned the original one, and again,
Hmm.
the files were not large enough for my needs, but the
Hmm.
color and the tonality was just
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah, and if you think about it, a lot of photographers don't really do much enlargements, or if they're doing like more photojournalists to post on a platform on social media, they just need that really great consistency in low light, available light with higher dynamic range. That's all they need. So
Hmm.
the A7S is still a great camera. So it's kind of hard to direct a customer unless you know specifically what their needs are, in which camera to go for. Sony A1 will be a camera that if a customer is shooting, it's used to shooting with like medium format quality camera. And they're looking to resemble that type of quality, not the same depth of field though, because of the size of the sensor. Then Sony A1, if they want a full frame camera, that will be like a start for it.
Hmm.
I also see that they offer the pixel shift technology, uh, but can create an image up to almost 200 megapixels.
Yes.
Have you tried that, or do you know anyone
Yes.
who has? Yeah.
I try it on the
Mhm.
camera. I couldn't upload it on my computer.
Okay, good
It
point.
was huge. I couldn't. I cannot. So unless they're doing product photography, working for some sort of magazine, then it's really no need for that amount of megapixels on a file.
For Instagram, you don't need it for sure.
Definitely.
Another thing, if I could just throw in my own experience, I've
Mhm.
shot with the pixel shift technologies on several different cameras, and it does work and it does make a difference. The only thing is, you really have to have a very stable camera support. You can't use a flimsy tripod or some kind of makeshift system because you're shooting at least 4 exposures here or more, and everything has to line up. So if there's any movement or shake in between, you're losing definition. It comes into you're basically making a bunch of little multiple offset exposures, and it kind of defeats what it is. So again, if you're going to bother doing this, make sure you have everything really solid mounted down and no movement between exposures.
Yeah. And it will have to be like a static, also something static.
Yeah.
Most people have never used this type of technology and they're really not interested. I'll say if you're shooting product photography, then that's when it really comes handy. Um, this is not a system that you will use handheld. So, the camera all around, it's like for super professional type of photography.
I would say aside from product and studio,
Mhm.
also for architecture and for landscape, it definitely has its thing. Now, again, if there's anything moving in the landscape, trees blowing in the breeze, it's going to be off register. You're going to see it somehow, whether it's critical or not. Maybe not.
We're still in January, the beginning of 2021. Fujifilm put out two cameras, quite different cameras. The XE4, let's start with that. It's a rangefinder style mirrorless, 26 megapixel BSI CMOS sensor, paired with the X-Trans color filter. Anything on that, Llinelva?
So Fujifilm has become my new love in photography because
You're
of
not
their
alone.
dynamic range. Yes, I'm in love with them. um, the XE4, it's a really nice compact little camera that you can carry anywhere. I'll recommend that to any street photographers, photojournalists, photographers. It's just it resembles the rangefinder style. Uh, you do get, I'm a lover of film photography. The film simulations on this camera, it's stunning. There's like, you can make prints and fine art papers, and it's going to be hard for somebody to figure out whether that person was using a real film or just a film simulation on that camera.
I also love the design of the camera. At first glance, it looks like a Leica. They really nailed a lot of those iconic mid 20th century design aspects to it, and they did it very well. Even the logos are kind of like paying homages to the old Leicas, but they do it well, and it's new technologies, and the pictures are great, and the cameras work really beautifully. They really do.
And on this model, there's 18 film simulation modes,
Yeah.
just FYI.
I don't even know
The
if
other
there are 18 films left on market anymore, but
yeah. The other camera that Fujifilm announced in January is the GFX 100S. So I guess the other side of the spectrum. This is a 102 megapixel medium format camera. Any comments, Llinelva? Have you tried that camera?
Yes, I have. And
You've
that's
tried them
going to
all.
be
Great.
my next victim. Yeah,
Oh,
that's going to
really?
be my next victim. Um, I use all the Nikon D800 line. And when when we switch from digital to film, from film to digital at the studio, um, the only option available were the Fujifilm S3 at that moment, that will kind of resemble the quality on the colors as the medium format cameras that we were using for film. So when Fujifilm announced their new medium format cameras, they started with the 50, and I was like, no, it's still too slow. Pentax was doing a bit of a better job over there than Fujifilm. Yeah, medium format. But when they came out with the 100 series, I shoot with that camera for a while on the B&H. We used to have a studio to shoot photos of the customers, and we were using that camera for a while. The image quality, it's not even, I cannot even describe, the satisfaction that you get when you see, the depth of field on that camera, the quality that you get on the sharpness, the details, um, the chroma chart on that camera, it's just stunning. Now, when they released the 100s and I tried that camera, I was like, it makes sense for me to sell my soul and get this camera because it doesn't get better than that. That's like beyond the best. Plus, the size is so compact compared to the original version that there's no way somebody shooting at a studio should get anything else.
it's gotten to a point right now between the form factor and the weight, size, and pricing of these Fujifilm medium format cameras that for somebody who's coming in for a flagship DSLR or mirrorless camera, which the price points are not really that much different right now. Do you find more people trying to figure out maybe it's time to go medium format, or is it still kind of the same crowd that you have going on?
We have more people interested on the medium format because if you go back on the line, like Sony, it's about $6,000. Fujifilm on the 100s, it's almost the same price, even less than the Sony at this point. So it's if I know a customer will take more advantage of a medium format, that will be the first recommendation that I go for, even though they're just interested on a full frame camera. Now, because of the price on the 100, it's more accessible for customers to go after a full professional medium format camera. And it's great also for even street photographers, for people shooting portraits. It's just a comfortable camera to travel with or to hold when you're doing action.
I actually know somebody who used to go around. She actually spent the summer going around Greece with a Fujifilm, the 680, which was
Hmm.
a large medium format. It took 6 by 8 centimeter pictures. Um, it was big enough to you could put a little rotisserie chicken inside this thing. That's how big it was.
Yes.
And I look at what this camera is and what it does, and compare the two of them. And they're both phenomenal cameras, but this is really an amazing piece of technology considering what you're getting here.
So let's jump ahead to March, guys. And in March, Pentax announced the K3 Mark III, which is an updated APS-C flagship, if you want to call that, even though they have full frame now. This camera had an all-new Safix 13 autofocus system with 101 points, 25 cross types, and can do bursts up to 12 frames per second. I'm not sure there's a lot to say about it because it's a continuation of a model that's pretty well known, and Pentax shooters seem to really like these K3 APS-Cs. Also, in March, Sigma put out the FPL, which is a 61 megapixel full frame mirrorless camera, and this is part of their I guess you call it a modular system where you can kind of add things and take things apart, and the camera itself is relatively small. Very curious about the FP. I haven't tried it yet, but
It is an L mount, so that's important too because this is keeping with the L mount series of lenses. There's a lot of those lenses out right now. A lot of companies are making them, so it's a very viable system to get into.
Well, I want to go back to the Pentax.
oh yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pentax, I never shot with the Pentax before until I started working at B&H. I heard about of the cameras because some of my colleagues have it, but I really never, shoot a wedding with it. Now, when I started working here, I started trying their cameras. I'm like, why this camera is not more popular? Noise reduction in low light, it's stunning. It's like none of the cameras will work at such a high ISO uh, as the Pentax K3 with such a clean image when it comes to noise and ISO, and the price also this camera it's really low in price compared to other cameras that will be a lot higher in prices. The quality that you get from it is just great. I don't understand why people don't buy more of Pentax cameras.
Because a lot of it, like I said, had to do with the advertising companies, the marketing companies that work with Pentax were never able to convince the public that professionals shoot with this camera too. People think professional, they think Canon, Nikon, now Sony, or Hasselblad if you're shooting medium format. Nobody thought Pentax, and they take great pictures. It's a camera. It's the person behind the camera, not the camera. You know that. But again, it's all marketing, and it's a hard thing to change once the public has a certain fixation in their head. It's really hard to shift that. I think that's the problem. And I'll be happy to send a little marketing fee along for that and consulting if anybody wants to hire me for my thoughts on that.
Okay. All right, Pentax, you heard it. So let's jump ahead, guys.
I think we've solved Pentax's marketing problems before. I think
I know we have,
Yes,
but they
many
don't
times.
listen.
I know
Yeah.
We got to get in a taxi and just go down there one of these days. Where are they located? They got to be somewhere in town. No.
It is sad because they have such a great product.
if they listened to the show, they'd be Sony.
Yeah.
I mean, they're also Pentax is owned by Ricoh now, so who knows how they're lost within that corporate system. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Anyway, so jumping ahead to April, Fujifilm again. They put out an Instax Mini 40. one of their Instax line, clearly.
Kerching, kerching,
Yeah,
kerching.
these
They're
cameras
making
look
so much
great,
money with that.
and especially around this time of year when it's the gift buying time. But this one is a beautiful little camera. I mean, it has this stylish kind of classic look. And other than that, it has a built-in selfie lens, which I think are pretty common on these cameras now. But take a look if you're interested in Instax and instant cameras. You have a pretty good looking one with this one. Also in April, Sony updated two cameras, and we talked about this on the last episode, but I'd like to hear what Llinelva has to say to maybe clarify, because they put out the Sony A7R4A and the A7R3A, which really just updated the cameras, from what I understand, primarily with their LCDs. But anything to mention on that, Llinelva? Because there was some confusion.
Yes. So, like Alan asked me before, too many cameras on the market. I don't.
Yeah.
We were all at the counter. We were all like, "What's happening here? Why? Why couldn't they just wait until their next real model?"
Well, again, we'll have to leave that to the folks at Sony to explain to us. But later in April, a big announcement came, and that was the Canon EOS R3, pegged as their top tier mirrorless body. And I guess we'll talk a lot about that a little bit, because it took a while for it to actually come out and be available, even though it was announced in April. So how is that camera doing? What's the response been?
This one, it's really, impressive. It's when you see the camera on the website, you're like, okay, another a mirrorless system resembling the 1DX Mark III, right? But when you hold this camera, it feels like a solid piece, but it's so light. It's lighter. It's actually lighter than the R5. This camera, it's the technology on it, it's amazing. I was kind of hesitating about this new eye tracking technology that helps you focus depending where your eyeball kind of lays on the viewfinder. So I was like, no, sounds too fishy for me. I don't want to I don't
That's
want to risk
nothing
it.
new for them, by the way. iFocus, Canon came out with iFocus a good 20 years ago in one of their, not even a top-of-the-line camera. It was one of their Rebels, or one of the, not a Rebel. They had three different, it wasn't the top-of-the-line, it wasn't a Rebel, but it was one of the mid-series cameras that they had. And it had iFocus, and it actually worked pretty well. And I have no doubt that it works very, very well right now.
That is something, because I wonder, like on an optical viewfinder, how will that? I mean, the way you have to set it up for through the camera, it's kind of like the same way you set up your face detection on your phone.
Yes.
Yes.
And and every time you use it, it gets more information, it gets more accurate. Yes.
Yes. Yes. So it's kind of like I cannot really understand how they will do it on an optical viewfinder back a couple of years ago. Which model was that? I'm gonna look that up.
It was the EOS, maybe the EOS 3. And again, we're going back to the mid 90s or so.
Yes.
And it was, again, film camera, and it did work. I remember that. I was using it with a 70 to 300 millimeter lens. I was really taken by how accurate it actually was.
I'm kind of curious now, because Canon has positioned this camera as their top of the line mirrorless, and are the consumers following? I mean, those that had purchased earlier models of the R series, are they now wanting to upgrade?
So I can see a lot of people that purchased the R5, selling that R5 and getting an R3 very soon, as soon as we get it available in stock.
Okay.
It is, I haven't tried the video part, but when it comes to photography, the accuracy on the camera with the auto-focusing, face detection, eye detection for humans, cars, and other animals as well, it's on point. It's like if you're shooting sports, if you're shooting any type of action, this is the camera to go for.
Gotcha. All right, and CF Express and SD slots, also 6K video, and it is a 24 megapixel with the dual pixel CMOS.
Yeah, we were expecting it to be, not to have a high megapixels count.
Mhm.
Most of the photographers using this type of cameras, they rather have a higher ISO count instead of megapixels. That's what probably matters the most to them.
I agree.
Seems to me that 24 megapixel has been the sweet spot for a lot of cameras. It's enough. And you could do a lot with 24 megapixels. That seems to be a good spot. And also, just my own little thought on the R3, the way it looks. Again, I have not handled this thing at all. I haven't touched it, but I'm looking at it. And for somebody, there's still a lot of DSLR people out there that are kind of dyed in the wool and they're just not ready. There's something visually assuring about this thing that it says it's okay to come to us right now from your DSLR. It's okay. You won't die. It has a similar look and form factor to it, but it's got all the advantages of mirrorless. So I think my guess is a lot of DSLR people are going to start warming up right now and maybe put it down and join the club.
All right.
Just my take.
How about you, Alan? You going to join the club?
Actually, I'm going back to daguerreotypes. I'm burned out on all this already right now. So my next camera is not going to have batteries. Okay. No.
I like it. All right. So May saw Panasonic put out two cameras, the DC GH6 and the DC GH5 Mark II. Briefly, the GH6 is a video-centric micro four thirds camera, an all-new sensor, all-new image processor, and capable of 10-bit 4222 4K capture with no time limit. I imagine a lot of vloggers and other video folks are interested in that camera. The DC GH5 Mark II is an updated version of the original that adds new video features, improved autofocus, and a new coating on its 20 megapixel sensor to reduce flare and ghosting. I don't know if there's much else to say about these.
Yeah, so for the GH5 too, it has they added the B log. You no longer have to update it.
Okay.
With the GH6, we heard of the camera when Panasonic released the information, and after that, it's like I don't know what happened to it.
But it's not in stock at B&H?
No, it's not. We haven't heard anything else from Panasonic.
It could be,
on that
maybe
camera.
it's a victim of the chip shortages. I mean, a lot of things are hitting with that right now. If you're missing one little piece, you can't get it out there. That's what it could be.
All right. So
we'll easy out.
There you go. All right. Well, let's jump ahead to June then. Another camera that we're not quite sure about, but it's the Olympus Pen EP7, a rangefinder style micro four thirds mirrorless camera with a 20 megapixel sensor and 5-axis in-body image stabilization. I'm always been a fan of the Pen line, and I'm sure this is a great camera, small, compact. But from what I'm seeing, it's primarily for the European markets. I don't know if B&H even has that in stock, do they?
No, it's not even listed. No, it's okay. We don't have it.
All right, well, let's wrap up this half of the show then by mentioning the Nikon ZFC, which I really like this camera. And to be honest with you, I'm considering even purchasing it, to tell you the truth. It's kind of a small retro-looking thing. How's that been? What's the reaction been to that camera?
Oh, people love this one. Let me tell you, this is one of the sexiest camera we have on the counter. It's tiny, it's compact, it resembles like analog cameras. So it's really out there. People are loving it. The quality that you get from it, it's stunning. The only problem with Nikon though, and I complain about this. So they used to have 22 languages on their DSLRs. With older mirrorless system, they narrow it down to 4 languages on United States. I guess America. We only get 4 languages now. In order for customer to get other languages on mirrorless cameras from Nikon, they'll have to ship the camera back to Nikon and pay. I think it's a $45 fee for it per language.
Serious? Per language?
Yes, I was stunned when I get a reply from them saying that, because we have some customer complaining, this is America, like United States is made of so many culture and so many different people from everywhere in the world. And it's like amazing that they did this. It's kind of fishy. And I love Nikon.
Well, what about the lens situation for these cameras? I mean, are there APS-C for the Z mount?
There are a couple of ones now.
Mhm.
Most people have been buying because they're even their full frame lenses. They are a low profile,
Mhm.
so
So
it's
that works.
That's true.
yeah.
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 Okay, we're going to take a short break. We come back more with cameras of the year, including our own favorite cameras of the year. Stay tuned.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of the B&H Photography Podcast. The best way to support the show is by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. For links to gear and more information on today's guests, check out the show notes in your podcast app or visit our homepage on the B&H Explorer website and join the B&H Photography Podcast Facebook group. And now, back to the show.
Okay, we are back, and it's now July. We're looking at the cameras that came out July of this past year, and the Sony ZV-E10. This camera is designed primarily for vlogging, and it features a fully articulated touchscreen, a product showcase feature, and a soft skin feature. I mean, this is basically making everything and everybody look good. And a 3-capsule microphone and sockets for an external mic and headphones. Again, if you're going to be doing vlogging and things of that sort, it's a really, really nice camera to use. 24 megapixels, you got plenty of resolving power. And again, it's a Sony, so you got a whole system to back you up. And that takes us into September, and we're back to Fujifilm. The Fujifilm X-T30 Roman numeral 2. Which is an update to the original version of the camera. Better performance, higher resolution LCD, 26 megapixel X-Trans sensor, and X processor for quad-core CPU. You're a big Fujifilm fan. Tell us more about it. Any other thoughts on this camera?
Yes. So this camera, it's perfect for, uh, you know, uh, photographers who wants to shoot more, photojournalists who need something that's more discreet and prefer doing a lot of manual operations on the camera. The It has that beautiful Fujifilm dynamic range when you're shooting photography. So a lot of people who are traveling, going to and getting to know different cultures with a lot of colors. The images are just stunning when you take photos with this camera. It's really easy. I'd say that Fujifilm is probably one of the easiest menu to handle when you're new to cameras. Um, it's really straightforward. The quick menus is just there. I wouldn't recommend it so much for video. The technology on the Fujifilm is not as great as the technology on Sony when it comes to blogging and video. But it is, it's out there. It's professional. It will provide, those details. There's no way you can go wrong like with any of the cameras that we mentioned here for either photo or video. You'll just have to uh, find the correct camera for it, for the application that you're using it for.
And again, September saw another Fujifilm medium format release. This was the GFX 50S Mark II. Again, as we mentioned earlier, very compact medium format camera for the Fujifilm GF mount. I don't know if there's any updates to this that are worth mentioning, but Llinelva, if so, please feel free.
Pretty much megapixels wise and price, of course. Those are like the hat sellers on this camera compared to the 100.
Right.
In terms of the body size, they're very similar. Um, so it all comes to like, do you really need 100 megapixels? Or do you want to save more buying a medium format camera?
And what is the price difference between the two? Let me we're talking about 4,500 for the 50S Mark II and about $6,000 for the GFX 100S. So
Yeah, so for the 50S Mark II, that's
yeah.
I believe, yeah, that's 4,000 without the lens.
Hmm.
Now,
Is
mind you, it
body
used to
only.
cost you like $20,000 to $30,000 to buy cameras of this technologies, and not that long ago.
Yes.
That's the mind-boggling thing.
Right.
Yes.
It's come down from the stratosphere to 35 millimeter pricing, just using 35 millimeters of format.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess
Lem-
they're bringing a giant down, you know, Fujifilm and well, Pentax not as much because they're really not too involved on the market. But I'll guess Fujifilm is bringing, you know, some of the most popular medium format cameras, such as Hasselblad down. It's people see the quality on it. I mean, of course, Hasselblad, you know, the details that you get from that camera, it's out of this world. But you cannot go wrong with a Fujifilm medium format. Even with a 50 megapixels is more than anybody could dream of.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap up September with the Ricoh GR3X, which, if anyone is familiar with these, the GR line, they're very compact, somewhat kind of in the street photographer zone, I suppose. They're 24 megapixel APS-C. And this one has, well, what's different about this one is the lens. It's a 26.1 millimeter, which is a 40 millimeter equivalent f2.8 lens. And we did discuss this briefly on an earlier episode. And I think, Alan, you agree that the 40 millimeter is a sweet spot for a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially if you're street
Yeah.
photographers.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like these cameras, and I encourage people who like a compact, discrete camera for street photography to take a look at these.
No, I second that too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a neat little niche that
this
the
is
camera fills.
Yeah, this is what the camera is about, being discreet, sharpness. Um, sometimes I, you know, when I look into technology, I'll be like, when are somebody's gonna come out with a contact on for the eyes that you can put and you can just photograph by just looking at something. So this camera reminds me of that all the time because it's just like you know, you can keep it on your eye all the time and
Right.
just shoot everywhere that nobody's going to notice. But the sharpness that you get from it, it's like you viewing when you print out a photo with this camera, it's like you're viewing, you know, what you took the photo of right in front of you. So that's how the print comes out. Everything is so sharp, so much details on it.
And, you know, again, we were talking about Pentax earlier, and maybe the fact that they're not out there as much as some of the other companies. But just in case our listeners don't know, Ricoh bought Pentax several years ago. So, you know, they're putting out two separate lines of cameras in their own way. Now, I don't know how the corporate side there divides its development or its marketing for that matter. But both camera lines, or at least the brands, seem to flow under the radar just a bit, but they, as we've pointed out, make great cameras.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at Pentax, think Ricoh, and vice versa to some degree, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's jump up to some more of the recent releases. In October, we saw Panasonic put out the Lumix DC BS1H, a video-centric full-frame mirrorless camera with a box shape, as they call it. And it's rigged, you know, it can be rigged for all kinds of video shooting applications.
It's another modular design, which is it's a smart design. It's popular, and it's a smart way to go right now because everyone has their own needs for, especially for video and how you're using it and how you're rigging it. And this gives you all the options. You could put anything you want on it, any kind of cage or lenses, all that stuff.
There you go.
So yeah, this is, I guess, won't be the last one we're going to see of this style either, probably.
No. Sony also announced the A7 Mark IV, which offers an upgrade sensor resolution to 33 megapixels and a new processor. The XR, the B&H XR, also a new autofocus system with better face and eye detection, better touchscreen, better viewfinder, and better Bluetooth connectivity. And Llinelva, is this an upgrade that's worth looking at, given the fact that, as we've discussed, there are so many Sonys out there?
Yes. So this camera when they released this camera, it didn't make sense for Sony to have so many other models on the market because they're kind of making a combination of the A1 with the I'll say A1 to um A7S series when it comes to low light capability, out of focus. Megapixels is not all the way up there to the A1, but it's 33 megapixels. You can print anything with that with 33 megapixels. Um, the focusing system, it's much faster than the focusing system on the A7R4. It's more reliable when it comes to face and eye detection. Even when you're shooting like in low light condition, it's a lot more reliable. So I don't think the other models are going to be in the market for too long, which is a good. I mean, for people who are looking to get promote sales or get a lower price on the other models, that's probably gonna start, happening soon after they send this camera to our warehouse.
My own take on is I use a
Mhm,
Sony A7 R3, which I love.
mhm.
I've had the camera for at least 2 years now, and I'm going to be using it for the time being. However, if I was on the market right now to be buying another camera, replacing it, specifically Sony, I would take a very serious look at this camera because it really does suit all of my particular needs. I don't need 30 frames a second. I'm not shooting motion pictures or Olympic events and stuff like that. This camera would work for me. And I know what I have and I know what this has, and I could live well with this camera. This camera would be fine for me.
Noted for your
My
birthday.
take. So if anybody wants, my birthday's in June, so you do have time to save up for it.
Yeah, we'll start on that. Llinelva, we'll put together a Kickstarter. Okay, you and I. Yeah, okay, okay. All
Well,
right. So
mine, you know which one I like, so sorry, so pricey.
You
okay.
scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
All right. Well,
Yes.
well. Speaking of which, I think we're at the camera that I'd like for my birthday,
Oh
which is
yeah.
in April. So here we are, the Nikon Z9, the big announcement that came not too long ago. 46 megapixels, capable of 30 frames per second shooting in JPEG or 20 in RAW, 8K video. Yeah,
No
I
mechanical
mean,
shutter
no
whatsoever.
mechanical shutter. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, here we are with the Z9. Let's hear from Llinelva. What are people talking about when it comes to this new camera?
So C9, it's a camera that we were all expecting, to take over the D6. Um, we haven't get this camera on the counter yet. We are
Oh no.
expecting it soon, but I'm just hoping, and I'm a huge Nikon fan. I'm just hoping that this camera really have everything that the C7 Mark II is missing when it comes to the focus and speed. It looks like Nikon in this case, though. You know how D6 have lower megapixels counts, higher ISO setting. So it looks like Nikon went for the higher megapixels on this camera. And I am just hoping that the ISO range doesn't really, break down when you start, going to the higher ISO on the camera. At 46 megapixels, it's kind of hard to believe the megapixels are going to work that well, but I'm hoping for it because I love their quality. I love Nikon colors. I have Nikon cameras all my life, and I've been shooting with it weddings since I can remember. That was so we had a medium format Hasselblad digital camera at the studio. When Nikon came out with the D800, I was like, forget about Hasselblad and their medium format. I can no longer take the speed on that camera, and we moved forward to Nikon D800, and I've been in love with that series ever since. Um, with the Z7, I really wanted to make the move. I really wanted to change, but I didn't feel like, it was for me. So I'm hoping that the Nikon C9 is the camera that I've been waiting for on the Nikon mirrorless series.
To me, I agree with everything you're saying
Mhm.
right there. And to me, I'm looking at this camera as the Nikon's version of Canon's R3, because I'm looking at it and saying this is the kind of camera that a DSLR devotee would be looking at. And this camera is the same thing. I'm looking at it between what's in it, the technology, and the way it's designed and put together. This is something that a DSLR person can probably transition to very well and move ahead pretty quickly with. That's my take on it. It looks like they're finally matching all of the requirements and all the parameters that made DSLRs what they are. Now we have that in mirrorless with all the good attributes of mirrorless technologies. That's what I'm hoping for here.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, Alan, do you think they might be releasing another, like a second series, a Mark II of the C9 next year? You
We
know,
could start a rumor right now.
yes,
We,
because
we, we
I
could say
just feel like
yes, and
that's
let's see
not
how
really.
long it takes DP review to pick up on it.
I just feel like this is not really taking the spot of the D6. But yeah,
Again, the thing is, every single generation now
mhm.
of all these mirrorless, specifically from Canon and Nikon, they're getting up to that point right now. They're saying, okay,
Yes.
we did the DSLR, I think we did it really well, okay, and we were dragging our feet with mirrorless, and now we're getting there. And just by looking at the specs and looking at the photographs, and again, I haven't touched the cameras, I haven't worked with either one of them, but it looks like they're nailing everything right on it. They're hitting all the right notes. And to me, somebody who would be a DSLR person, I could see them making an easier transition right now than suddenly picking up this lighter, smaller, flimsier camera. They're beefier now. They've got all the technology and they got all the brawn. So to me, that's what makes it for me.
I would agree to that, and let's hope. So it's kind of a shame, though, that the Z9 has not made its way into the hands of the trainers and the staff at B&H to talk about, and we look forward to 2022 when that's going to be the case. But let me mention some of the things I have here on the Z9. It has 3D tracking in their AF system, which can be combined with the camera's machine learned trained subject recognition system, something we've been talking about earlier. It's been trained to recognize people, animals, and vehicles. And in auto mode, the Z9 analyzes the scene to detect subjects automatically without you having to specify which is your subject. That's a bit strange. It adopts a dual grip form factor, and it has more of an angular look than the existing Z series cameras. Fully loaded with cards and batteries, the Z9 is around 8% lighter than the D6 and about 20% smaller in volume. And this is kind of what we've always been speaking about over the past few years, is this idea that people wanted mirrorless because they were smaller and easier to handle, and here they are getting bigger again, but still, in this case, hopefully a tad lighter. But I agree with you, Alan, that form factor of the DSLR is hard to shake for me, and the Z9 is at least something I will be keeping my eye on for the
Yeah,
year.
for sure.
All right, so before we kind of offer some final thoughts on the year and what we can say about the models that have come out in general, let me just run down some of the other things that have come out in terms of imaging. We're not going to do lenses this year, but a few new phones were announced. Obviously, the Apple iPhone 13 and the 13 Pro and Pro Max came out. People talk about the cameras. The Vivo X60 smartphone came out earlier in the year, which is a 32 megapixel and a 50 megapixel on the rear side camera, which is a Zeiss co-engineered imaging system. So I'm very curious to see how the quality of that phone's images would be. Sony put out the Xperia Pro in January and the Xperia Pro 1 in October. And quickly to drones. The only drones that I've seen come out this year, and I'm sure there are more, but the ones that take the announcements and get the attention are from DJI. And they put out the FPV, they put out the Air 2S, and very recently announced the Mavic 3 and the Mavic 3 Cine. So drone people, take a look at those. I've heard great things about the Mavic 3 from one of our video shooters who did a test run. So that's kind of the list of cameras and a few other equipment from this year. So I'd like to ask both of you guys what your favorite camera of the year is, even if it's not one of the big ones, and also what we've kind of seen from this year that might be telling for the future, for going forward when it comes to cameras and systems, and obviously we talked a little bit about these incredible mirrorless cameras from Sony, Canon, and Nikon. But any thoughts on what's coming? We'd appreciate it. And Alan, if you want to start, go for it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it would be very easy to say the Z9 or the R3 because again, these are state of the art and as state of the art as it gets as far as cameras right now. But after looking at everything, the camera that I really like out of all of them, all right, the one that I want to take with me today is the Ricoh GR3X. Out of all the cameras, it's not the highest in technology, but like I mentioned the first time we were talking about it a few months back on our last gear podcast, I like the fact that I always liked the 28 millimeter lens. I'm a wide angle guy, and the Ricoh GR3 was a great little camera, and it was perfect. It was pocket size, and it's the right angle. But I've also, in the past couple of years, a few times used 40 millimeter lenses, which I never really thought about, and I get a very high return of keepers. And I like the fact that this camera has a 40 millimeter lens, which is the way it's the same perspective that our eye has. And if you think about it, all of the basic point and shoot cameras from the original Brownie cameras and on, the lenses that they use are about 35 to 40 millimeter. And that's always been a standard. And I think if I was to be traveling, I think it'd be really, really neat to have one of each, have the GR3 and the 3X, one camera with 28 millimeter and one with 40 millimeter. I could do just about everything I need to do with two little cameras that slip into my pocket.
All right.
That's my
Llinelva?
take.
Okay.
To me,
Llinelva, what are you
well,
thinking?
me, I wish I can have all of them, honestly.
You
Well,
can.
you
You just
can.
have to get a lot of credit cards.
Yes.
It's simple.
So I have four favorites, but I'll say Fujifilm GFX 100S.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a must when I open my new studio. Um, then between the R3 and the Z9, well, the Z9 I really haven't seen it, but I think for customers and probably the top sellers are going to be either the R3 and the Z9. Looking like our customer history. Now for myself, Nikon ZFC. So that camera, it's really, you know, the size is just perfect. I have a family. I have two kids and a dog, so I need to take them places, travel a lot. This camera is perfect, compact for somebody who's looking to get professional quality on on their family portraits, on just their everyday life. Have a really something that you can put anywhere on your purse. If you have big pockets, I always carry big pockets with me. You can just put it there. Price wise, it's like a non brainer, and quality wise, it cannot get better than that. Plus, on top of that, it's a camera that is going to provide the quality, but when you put the memory card on your computer with 5,000 images, your computer is not going to spit out the memory card because the files are way too large for it.
You guys both took the cameras that I was going to choose, so I'm going to have
Ooh.
to pick something else. And of course, I am keeping my eye on the Z9 and all future, Z mount Nikons that come out, because I'm a Nikon shooter as well, and I think it's about time that I make this switch from DSLR. But of the cameras listed, I'm going to go with the Fujifilm X-E4. I mean, I like the way it looks, and I like that it's a little bit, smaller, flatter, as they say, and it's just the type of camera that I like to use on the street. So I'm gonna stick with that.
It would look good on you. It would. I could see it.
Yeah, I can see that. But
Yeah.
I
I
close
really
my
do
eyes
like
and I'm thinking about, yeah, it works.
but the Ricoh and definitely that Nikon look pretty cool, and I've always liked that the Ricoh model. So we'll throw that out there as well. But for this choice, it's the XE4, and I'm wondering if we can use these selections as an indicator of what's been happening this year. Are people looking to smaller cameras? Are you seeing that at Llinelva? And maybe the other trend that I guess is pretty clear is that Nikon and Canon are all in on mirrorless, and their flagship cameras now are mirrorless, and that's just the wave of the future. So I don't know how much longer we're going to be seeing DSLRs come out, or at least several models each year. But this seems to be a year where that turn has been made very clear.
Yeah, so pretty much, the more compact the camera is, without losing quality, access to manual selections, uh, the faster it goes, the hotter it is on the market.
Yeah, my take on things. Again, it's nice to see that both Canon and Nikon are really knocking down the doors and being very serious and catching up in terms of mirrorless. The DSLRs they knew how to do that. And now they're catching up and giving Sony a really good chase for the money. As far as little cameras, again, you saw my choice is a little Ryko, a little pocket camera. And again, it depends what's going on. We have, I don't know how many tens of millions of listeners. And if you were to ask each of our listeners, what are you looking for in a camera? You're going to get a lot of different responses. And for some people, weight and size is an issue. Some people, they need, heft, optical options or megapixels or whatever it is. But everybody's got their own little need. And the important thing is, to me, every single one of those little fields, those little niches, they're all being filled right now by great little cameras. There's a wonderful camera for every need you have out there, and a lot of them are not even very expensive. So it used to be you had to spend a ton of money to get a really good camera. Now you don't have to. There are some amazing cameras out there that are quite affordable and in all different sizes and form factors with different features. So if you know what you want to do, it's very easy these days to buy a camera that will do exactly what you need it to do. That's, I think, one of the biggest takeaways.
One thing I wanted to mention, though, and we talked at the beginning of the show about the number of point and shoots that were announced in 2015. Of course, we all have our phones, we know that, but if you want to buy a point and shoot, there are a few models that are available at that range, but nothing new. And otherwise, you have to look toward $800, $1,000. It seems like.
Well, I know I just picked up a point and shoot for one of my granddaughters, and it was $400 for a camera that I think I used to spend like $180, $200 for an equivalent camera. It was a Canon Power Shot, but I'm looking at the numbers and prices. There used to be more choices, and I think it's also part of the thing right now. They just don't make as many because no one's buying them. Everyone's using their phones.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of productions in point and shoot because of the phones, of course. Now they divided point and shoots between standard point and shoot and advanced point and shoot now. The advanced ones will have a larger sensor. Those are the ones that will give you kind of like a better quality when you compare image quality between a newer smartphone to a point and shoot. It really doesn't make much sense to get regular point and shoot when you have a good phone, unless you're doing a lot of zooming on your camera. Then that's where regular point and shoots are going to be a lot better than just phones.
And it's
That's a
also,
good point.
I think, important to keep in mind that we say point and shoot, the way it's defined at B&H is a camera with a fixed lens, and point and shoots include like the Leica Q series cameras, which are not cheap cameras, and the Zeiss camera we spoke about earlier. These are not inexpensive cameras. These are very serious and highly sophisticated cameras, and they're point and shoots.
You know which one I'm intrigued by it? There's a new one. It was released a couple of, I think, a month ago or so. It's called Paper Shoot. It's such a cute little camera. It looks like um like a little you know credit card holder.
Really?
And I've been meaning to call it up and see how it looks. Yes, look for it. It's there's one that it's so cute. That's gonna be like my number one Christmas gift for my nephews this year. It's called Paper Shot Handwriting Cameras. It
Wow.
takes SD cards. Okay, the one that I love, it's called Red. And it has like some doodling and some drawing on it of a crocodile and flowers and stuff. It's very, very cute.
I'm
And I was
actually
just going to
looking at
put
them
down
right
all
now.
that money for a
Mhm.
Hasselblad. You know what? You got me thinking.
Oh, these are
60
very interesting.
megapixels, yeah, it does the job.
These are very interesting. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Llinelva. We're gonna
Yeah, no,
we'll
the
link
little
this in our-
nuggets like that are what make it all happen. That's really, really good. And somebody's looking for that, and that somebody needs that. It's perfect for them. So
Okay, and we'll
all
definitely
good.
link that on the show notes.
We
All
should
right,
do
Alan,
it. You know, after New Year's, let's do a show on cute cameras.
there
We've
you
never
go.
done a cute camera show.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a wrap of our Camera of the Year show. We'd like to thank Llinelva De Castro for joining us today, for sharing her knowledge, her feel for what makes our customers tick, and for bringing a serious measure of credibility to today's show. And also, there's a new feature we have right now with chat. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So, well, we opened this department. It's a new department, guys, and you're gonna love this. Whoever hasn't learned about it, B&H is now offering a virtual chat with specialists at the store. So you can actually, connect either from your phone, computer, tablet, talk to us on a video chat. So you can see us like in person. We help customers troubleshoot. If the products they're looking for, it's on display, then we can show them, compare different cameras, different lenses, bags, tripods, which is amazing, for customers who don't have a clue what they want. When they can see the products live, it's a change deal. So I offered, I'm one of the agents that offered this service. If you go to to the chat button on the B&H website, you're going to be able to select between video chat and text chat. Um, all the video chats are handled at the store. You're not gonna call me at my house. So, yeah, you're gonna see the store. You're gonna see, the counter. Either we do that for pro photo, pro video, pro lighting, and well, there's no pro lighting. There's lighting, period. But and pro audio. For now, we're planning on opening new departments all over the store. But right now, you can contact us through there, and we'll be more than happy to help you there.
That's cool. And that's what makes B&H different from all the other guys. Again, Llinelva De Castro, thank you again for joining us today. And if you're in the store, ask for her. You could actually chat with her in person. And if you enjoy listening to the B&H Photography Podcast and you're not yet a subscriber, head on over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you snag your favorite shows. Type in B&H Photography Podcast and enter, and you'll be among the very first to know when a new episode goes live. And if you're already a subscriber, your comments make a difference and are always appreciated. And we do read them. And you can always find us on the B&H Explorer website, on the B&H Photography Podcast Facebook group page. My name is Alan Weitz, and on behalf of John Harris and Jason Tables, thank you oh so much for tuning in today.